time.
Yeah. YouTube's going live. And Facebook is going live. Alright, starting the music.
Live? Is that what you said?
Wow. YouTube's live dashboard is 404.
Really?
Yeah.
It says that we're live.
I know, but it's... Hold on. I can't get to the YouTube creator. It's not good. I usually rely on that.
You updated the logo. Now whenever I chat, it actually has the logo in there.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. I usually rely on that to do stuff. It's alright. The bat signal is out. Website's updated. Facebook looks good.
Need a haircut.
The hippie.
I know it's getting so long. My kid has like bright red curly hair, and so like he's in Taekwondo, and the Taekwondo instructors just love like rubbing his head, and they're like, you cannot cut his hair, you cannot. So we haven't, even though we needed to 2 months ago, and he's got this big red fro right now.
Oh man.
It's amazing.
Chris H, Rick Bogus, Gav Grant, 531 Liam. Alright, I think I could use this to watch the chat instead. Go with that. Bring us up here. There we go. Let's make sure that the chats are coming in. I don't see the little message that says that the chat is...
I don't see it either.
They are not there. Why is it doing that lately? Might have to go relink that real quick before we start. Turn off the music. Alright.
Dog's about to lose its mind right now.
Why?
Oh, I don't know, because she knows I'm about to start a podcast, so... Come here. Come here, be my friend.
Huh. Yeah, no chat. Hold on a second. Yeah.
Come say hi to everyone. Holy cow. David paid.
Oh, nice. Alright. I'm gonna open up these social thingies, see if I can fix the chat real fast, because it would be nice to... Oh, wait, there it goes. Just started working randomly.
Don't.
Worked for me. Dang, David.
She's...
We both said, damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn,
All right.
Daniel. All
Let's do
right.
this.
Looks good. Everything's running. Got the streamers online. The chat's working.
Good.
Grant says your half-res presentation was awesome.
Yeah. Yes, it was. We're going to talk about that.
All right.
That's weird. Look at the... Why is the chat all half up there?
Something's going weird with it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You could still see it. It's just wonky. I think their HTML is screwed up right now.
Okay.
I don't have any control over it, so.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
See, not everything is coming up though. Hold on, let me see. I can reapply it real quick.
This dog just likes to play. Sanitize the mic. Because of the dog. Don't you love how crappy it is?
See, it's still... Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and fix that.
Ow. See, this is the stuff that you can only test out once you're live, which is a shame.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Everything always goes wrong once, like, it goes live.
Yeah.
Before that, everything works perfectly fine.
Dude, it's got them sharp little puppy teeth. Oh, all right. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down.
I'm just going to redo the chat.
Thank you. Is music still going? Or are we in silence?
No,
we're just in silence?
Dead air. We've got dead air.
Dead air.
Let's see. Notes and notes and notes and notes. Chat. Alright, I'm going to try repasting this and hope that it doesn't completely freak out. Applied. Alright, let's try it now. There we go. Somebody send something.
Yo.
Send something or say something?
No, we're just
somebody in
checking out the chat, making sure that the chat is working. That way we can watch it.
It's very odd. Nothing is coming up.
Come here. Come here. Come lay down.
Okay.
Lay down and be quiet, and I'll give you $100. Doll hairs.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Dollars. Doll hairs.
It doesn't have
There we
a
go.
clear background, but I'll take it for now.
What's up,
Not the
Kevin?
end of the world. What's up, Kevin? I'll have to go fix that sometime. All right. Let's start rolling on our things.
Wow, the audio sounds really good on YouTube.
Yeah. How we roll.
Are you using that new interface at all?
Not for this, no.
You should
No.
try it out.
I don't want to have to install that on my MacBook Air.
All right.
It's my MacBook Air is on its last leg. I don't think it can take another interface.
Well, you
Yeah,
know, it
so
is
you're gonna
it
wanna
is a
upgrade
Mac.
This thing's
I
like,
like Mac, okay?
I would too if they could.
If they had an NVIDIA card, it would be a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have I had like the Mac like trash can,
Yeah.
and then I have a MacBook Pro. But like once the GPU craze started, I had to get a MSI like computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it just kind of sucks because I like the interface of Mac.
I do too.
Are you on a
I do too.
laptop right now, or?
Yeah, I'm on a laptop right now because I didn't put a camera on my desktop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm not on that. But
See, it looks like I swear, like now the chat's not coming in again. It might be something on the chat
doesn't
side.
matter.
Yeah, it's fine.
we don't need the peanut gallery.
Right?
Well, I can see the chat here, like from YouTube on the right. So if something
Yeah.
good comes through,
Cool.
I can still see it. So, yeah, that's really weird.
I don't know who this is, but they said we have a trash can at the studio and we only use it for Spotify now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really expensive Spotify machine. Hackintosh, gross.
Oh, man.
All right, we ready to go?
All right, everybody rolling?
Let me hit rolling so you don't need that extra 2 minutes of me doing nothing.
Keep an eye on your
Just 1, 2.
levels.
I have so much like family stuff this year.
Yeah.
That like my sister's having a kid due in April.
Fun.
So yeah. So like, and it's right around that time too.
Yeah.
So I probably need to be on standby just to like not get disowned by my parents. So.
Right. That's funny. All right, stream's back up. Hey, we're back. Why not Twitch or Mixer? What is Mixer?
Never heard of Mixer.
Yeah, me neither. We're on lots of platforms. Thanks, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
I'm just going to go ahead and stop so you don't need that 2 minutes of me
Right.
talking about that thing. All right.
Yeah, the question now is going to be whether or not it's on any of the social stuff. I don't know if the link changed. Let me double check that.
Oh, awesome. This is fun.
Yes, it is. Let's see. Nope, everything's still the same link. Okay, good.
Ooh, they just announced the speaker lineup for
Oh,
the
nice.
thing on Saturday.
Oh, for Saturday.
Yeah. Fun. That'll be fun.
All right.
What's on Saturday?
There's a thing down in Austin called, is it Signal?
Signal.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got something in the show
Oh.
notes.
Yeah.
We'll talk
That's
about
gonna be
that
fun.
in a sec.
Nice.
All right, let's do the sync real quick. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then we'll clap all together. All
Okay.
right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right.
Perfect.
Sync is done.
It sounds off, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a little off.
Then if you could scooch your laptop a little bit to one way or another,
Is that better?
just so you're centered up
There
in
you
the...
go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm on one of these like wheelie chairs. I'm just constantly gonna do
Oh, okay.
With hardwood floors, so you slowly just start drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like midway through this call, it's just like she's gone. We're done.
See ya.
Have you guys heard about that story about a grandma who drifted away on an iceberg in
No.
Iceland?
No.
In
She
Iceland?
got in Iceland. So she got on an iceberg to take a photo, like to get a photo of herself on an
Oh,
iceberg, and then the
no.
iceberg just started drifting away.
Did she?
That's funny.
Did she die?
No, there was like a ship coming by. They grabbed her or something.
That's
Wow.
funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Oh, there's a lot of bugs in the system today for some reason, but it's all
It's all
right.
right.
We're rolling, so we're good. We've got a stream, which is good. If it goes down, people let us know. So,
Cool.
okay.
Bhakti, Dave will introduce himself. I'll introduce myself. I'll introduce you. You say what up, and then Dave will go into his big spiel.
Sounds great.
And then we'll start the show.
All right.
Cool. Let's do it.
What up, bros, and welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt. And if you've been to SIGGRAPH or Half Res this year, you have seen her speak. Welcome to the show, the super talented Bhakti Patel.
Hi guys. Forgot you can't see me waving, but hi guys.
And Brograph is a supplement to our site, brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. And you can email us, brograph@brograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Send us your questions. It can be noob, it could be advanced, doesn't matter what it is. We like to talk about it. And we've got a couple emails this week that we'll be talking about later on in the show. So send them on over, brograph@brograph.com. Or if you want to put it in the Slack, and we'll talk about the Slack here in a second as well. Couple.
Is it open right now? It's closed, right?
It's going to be open, and I'll get to that in a second. First of all,
right.
we got some new shirts to talk about. If you are in the Slack, We have the secret shirts. Secrets. The secret shirts are out. The Brograph.com shirts are out, as well as the long sleeve Render Things tee. So you can finally get yourself one of those.
We changed the logo.
We did change the logo, yeah.
For those who are unaware. Yes.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man is out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Rocky, have you seen Spider-Man?
Yeah, the Into the Universe one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it like a couple of weeks ago. It took me so long to get to it.
Same here, yeah.
That was awesome. Like,
yeah, it really was.
Yeah, I'm gonna like, that's one of the few movies I'll actually like buy to have, you know? So
yeah.
good.
You know what? And my brother-in-law, I had family over last night, and they were telling me, "Hey, did you stick around for the end credits?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I did not stick around to the very, very end." And it's funny because they brought I don't know. Is it spoilers if it's already out on DVD? Anyway, so like
spoiler alert. Mute your microphone.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I mean, not a big deal, whatever. But like the Spider-Man 2099. The whole time I was wondering, where's Spider-Man 2099? You know, and then they showed up. And, oh, it's so good. It was so good. And then what they're, you know, yeah, you got to see it. It's so good.
I just didn't expect to end like credits like situation for this.
Yeah. I think it's maybe something with Marvel movies. They're like, I don't know. They're always doing it.
Yeah.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, I definitely bought it because I was. This is one you definitely want to buy, and my daughter didn't see it in the theater, and I did. So we sat down and watched it yesterday, and I think we were only about 20 minutes into it. It's when the first fight starts, and you see like the comic book pow and bang and all that stuff. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Teaching her right. Teaching her right."
That's funny.
So
that's fine.
I've already seen it twice, but the thing is, at the end, I just happened to, like, the credits were rolling, and I was, like, on my phone or something, and I happened to look up, and I saw Mike Winkleman.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. I didn't realize Beeple did a little visual development stuff for it, so.
That makes sense, though. It was really good.
Yeah.
I expect nothing less. Yeah.
I guess he posted something about it at one point. I just missed it. So
Spider-Man into the Beepleverse.
Into the Beepleverse. And those ending credits, by the way, were awesome. And this weekend, we are going to go down to Austin.
Yes.
And we're going to meet up with some people down there. There's South by Southwest is going on, first of all. So
is it really?
That's craziness. That's why all this stuff is going on. But there's going to be a meetup, and it's called Signal, and I will post a link to that so everybody can check that out. But let's see if I could bring up the list. You said that the names were just announced, the speakers were just announced.
Yeah, he just posted them on the Slack. So Saturday's speaker lineup is Tim Porter of Volumetric VR Video, Alex Toder of he was concepting Alita, Battle Angel, James Ramirez Q&A about Into the Spider-Verse, and Matthias will be there giving the main talk. So
so the End of the Spider-Verse stuff is about those ending credits. So
cool.
Yeah, so
very
if
cool.
You're in the Austin area, make sure that you come get this free ticket. I'm really excited for this meetup. There's going to be a lot of people we know there. And it'll be a great chance to. It's a different kind of meetup from what I'm gathering from this. It's going to be kind of a cool mix of stuff. So
it'll be cool to see. Like normally we do the DFWC 4D and then people come up to us.
Right.
It'll be cool to go down there because I not a lot of I assume not a ton of Austinites come up to Dallas. It'll be neat to meet some of the people down there.
Yeah, Austin is very much a place that you go to,
right?
Rather than like people from Austin. You're right. Don't come to Dallas to party because they've already got a good place to party. So
we got 6th Street.
Yeah, but this is Brian Beam. This is what he's put together as this Signal thing. So I'm super excited. Be fun. And other week wrap up things. Oh, you're gonna laugh at me for this, Matt, but the Orville Oh my gosh.
Drunk Dave is back.
So I don't know where this came from, but anytime that I rant about the Orville over group chat with Matt and EJ and David Ariev, they say I'm drunk for some reason. I'm not.
It was late at night the first time you started, like, you were just ranting about how great the Orville is. And then it sounded like you were like on a drunk rant. So, you know, it was just funny. So now David, anytime he starts ranting about the Orville, he's drunk Dave.
I'm telling you, it is such a great show. And
it's a good show, yeah.
This season has it's still funny. It's still a comedy, but they have gotten so serious and so big on the plot lines and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they just did this massive 2-parter that I can only compare to when Star Trek The Next Generation did their multi-part Borg episode.
Yeah.
And
obviously.
There's a lot of similarities. Here's the thing though. At the end of this, and I won't give away any spoilers, but at the end of the second episode of this 2-parter is the most massive, ridiculously over-the-top, amazing space battle sequence that I've ever seen on television. They just did it so right. And I even looked up, there's like reviews, like, who knows what the budget was for this?
That's cool.
You know, it's
I was
so
gonna
good.
say, what's the budget? What's a typical budget for the show?
I don't know, but second season, some of the sets and everything, I'm just blown away. But
yeah,
if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you don't want to check it out, just go find this space battle on YouTube or something somewhere and check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting show. It's so I like that it's very similar to Star Trek Next Generation, you know, but so like with Star Trek Discovery out right now, we're totally nerding out right now, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Baki, do you watch Star Trek or anything like?
Not this kind of stuff, no. But it's really nice, like getting an introduction to what's like in this genre.
So Discovery is super well done. Now I'm just talking like production value, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell the production value on Discovery is much higher than the Orville, you know. But like I feel like the Orville is like straight up just like Next Generation, you know. But Discovery is it's an evolution of where Enterprise would have been, you know, if it was whatever.
To me, it's like you won't enjoy the Orville as much if you're not a Star Trek The Next Generation fan.
Yeah.
And for me, it's getting to the point where it's almost like an extension of that universe because it's getting so good. And the plot lines are just getting actually good. You know, there is a certain campiness to it, but it's I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It's endearing.
Yeah.
It's endearing. Yeah.
But I can see that.
And let's see. I talked about Slack. Slack will be opening up for 7 days starting tomorrow. And if you didn't notice this week, Chad Ashley and Chris Schmidt were in there talking. Yeah. They've joined as well. So I don't know who isn't in the Slack at this point. Yeah. I mean, everybody's doing it. Got to get in the Slack. If you're not in Slack, get in the Slack. And also, you're going to laugh at me for this one too. Season 8, yo. Fortnite, Season 8.
Oh my gosh.
Check it out. There's a volcano and stuff.
I like the sigh that you just gave.
I thought we were talking about like a Game of Thrones or something. Like, I was like, are we on Season 8 or 7? Like, I got lost for a second trying to keep track of like where we were. Fortnite, I was not expecting that.
No.
Anyway, let's get into some actual graphics talk. I already saw one question in here. It was from Lorcan. Here it is.
Oh, yeah. Lorcan said, can she talk about the Facebook AR work she did?
Are you able to talk about that?
I can talk a bit about that for sure. Hi, Lorcan.
He said, was it with Oculus? If so, did she get to work with Eli Garon or on any of those projects?
The name sounds familiar, but Oculus handles VR. So I work in AR, which is essentially like there's a software, if you guys are interested in getting into AR, called Spark AR. And with that, you can build, all those like filters you see on Instagram and on Facebook and everything. You could build all those effects. And there's like a huge like marketing opportunity, a huge client base. Like it's a very interesting way to go with motion design.
And do you have to know code? Like how extensive is that?
You could go, it's like, how in Cinema 4D you could be as simple as you want and you can go as far as you want.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that. You could do something super simple where you don't have any code, where it's just like you build something in C4D or in Maya or something, and you could bring that in.
Cool.
And then you could just play with our material shaders and stuff to get the right material. Cool. It's very intuitive for the most part. It took me, I think, about like once you build like your first effect, then after that it's a lot easier. But that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So yeah.
Nice. So Spark AR isn't made by Facebook specifically, right?
It is, yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So Facebook owns Instagram too.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Yeah. So they just kind of own it all at this point. But yeah, it's like an internally created like software. So I get to kind of help the team like when I was in London for a year working on Spark, like working directly with Spark AR engineers to kind of make it more like design like minded, intuitive, for 3D artists and stuff.
Gotcha.
And like kind of getting the right features in it. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. These are really like talented engineers that are like building some really cool shit. So it's fun to.
That's cool.
Oh, I can't say that, can I?
Oh, you can.
You're
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. We try to keep the F-bombs to a minimum, but that's about it.
Cool.
This is the AR stuff it's a big kind of leap. Well, leap in like career direction from like other places that you've worked. Like, I mean, you've got a very a very
3D centric.
Yeah, and
or motion graphics.
You've worked at a lot of really cool places, and done some really great work for these places, and then to switch over to I'm not dogging AR at all. No.
Right.
I'm just saying it's a completely different jump. What was your process, your thought there,
Yeah. So actually the funny thing is it seems like that's kind of what I've been doing, but literally every job I've done or everything I've done has been totally different from what I did before. So for instance, like so I started straight up in motion design, started as an intern at Swarovski in Chicago. And from there I went to Imaginary Forces as a junior designer, and that's kind of where all that happened. But within like 6 months into my career, I got an offer to join Pepsi for global brand experience.
Cool.
I did like I worked on like the Super Bowl halftime show campaign. I worked on Disneyland Shanghai, like design for their contracted people for that. And this guy Joey Camacho Ron rendered. So got to work with those guys. I did the UEFA final opening ceremony motion, like the design and experience of that, both with Black Eyed Peas and then also with Dua Lipa. I did like a life water experience with Bruno Mars and stuff. So it seems like I kind of like there's always an element of motion design to it, but sometimes it gets really stretched thin when you're thinking about more like the experience and stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, like a year of that, I was like, all right, I've done a lot of cool stuff. I kind of want to go back into like freelancing and stuff. So went back into like regular freelance motion design stuff for a while, commercial stuff and everything. And then Perception hit me up to do some UI stuff for film. When that happened, that was the first time I ever really did any UI stuff for film as well. Yeah, like I was opening Illustrator after like 4 years, and they were like, here, like design some UI for like Black Panther. So I was like, okay. So I made it, and they're like, oh, this looks really different from what we've seen. I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, definitely, because I don't know what I'm doing, you know? Like, I'm just like, you know, it's definitely going to look different from what you've seen. That's for sure. It's the first time I'm doing it, and I don't know what I'm doing. So,
we did some UI stuff for Perception at one point, and it's so nerve-wracking because you're working with such amazing people, and it's like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like go home from work and then learn, like Google everything I could, you know, tutorials and stuff, and then come back the next morning. And it was like continuous because you just know how talented everybody in that studio is, and just how great they are. They really are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I did that, and then from there I got the option to come to like Facebook as a 3D generalist working in AR. And every opportunity I've had, it's just been so, like, I learned something really different from all of them. When, you know, like if I had just stuck the whole way through in the motion design studio, like just working in studios on commercials and stuff, I would have never like had this appreciation for the storytelling aspect of things, or like understanding that what we're building is an experience overall, and it's about how people view what we create, you know, not just what we create. And that kind of like, it's just all about like learning, like what am I going to learn next? So when I got the opportunity to work in to join Facebook in London, there's like a couple of things. One, moving to London, that was awesome. I was like, hell yeah, this is a life experience I'm not gonna like get, you know, in my 20s I can actually do this right now, you know? So I went for that. And then the other thing was like, just like, I guess just learning something new, working with different artists. The director that I had was Audrey Davis, who was originally at the Mill. She worked on like the Vikings titles and stuff. And then she was at IF as a director, and that's where we first met. And she's the one who pulled me in. And I was like, yeah, like I'm working with really talented people. I'm going to be working with Audrey. I worked with the guy Davide, who worked on like so many different films at DreamWorks and stuff too. So it was just like such a like talented team that they have, that I was like, I have to give this a shot, you know?
How old were you at that point?
26.
26. But
yeah.
Not
I'm so jealous.
Are you married?
No.
And do you have, so you're not married and you don't have kids? Or are you at least?
I don't have kids.
Because I got to say, well, first of all, this is a side note. I'll try not to go too far on the side note, but I realize that masterclass.com now is selling full-on subscriptions to not just the individuals, but to everything for $180 a year.
I'm curious how you're going to tie this in.
If you have if you have a 90, or if you've bought one before, like I have, you can get it for $90 for the first year. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this cool stuff to watch. So I've been watching all of these classes, and last night I started watching of course his name slipped my mind, from Hell's Kitchen. You know,
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah.
And so he was talking about being young and experiencing experiencing things and learning while you still can. He's talking about this person who just grabbed him and said, "Hey, you're young and you're really good right now, and you have this chance to go to France or London or somewhere to do something." He was like, "You have, like, you're not married, you don't have anything holding you back right now. It's like you have to go." I feel like there's so many people who are in that spot, like you were at that age, who have the opportunity to do something like that and just go, and that's such a great thing. It's so great to be able to do that, and people can be in that situation and not realize this may be your only opportunity to do something like this. Not that having a family and kids is a bad thing. I'm just saying you can't just up and leave and go overseas as easily for something like that when you're older.
Yeah, exactly. Even like I took a pay cut going from Chicago to New York, and everybody thought I was like kind of crazy for that, you know? But sometimes it's like just about the experience, and then also just knowing the value of the people that you're going to be working with. And that's kind of like when I knew I was going to like IF, like as a junior designer, I was like, yeah, like it was a 3-month contract. I know it wasn't permanent. I had something that could have been like permanent in Chicago, but I was like, no, I'd rather take I'm going to learn something really different, new people, new experience and things like that, more opportunities. So even if you take like a bit of a pay cut or you have to like move and stuff like that, I also think about like what's the worst that could happen. And the worst that could happen if I didn't like AR is I just go right back to New York and do exactly what I was doing before.
Yeah.
There's no harm in that. It is harmful though if you have in my case, a husband and kids that you're dragging back and forth, around the world. That's not going to last very long for marriage. But when you're young, you have these opportunities, and these are things I never thought about, like coming out of school. Like the first thing you think about is like, oh, I'm going to go from intern to junior designer to motion, like senior designer, and then art director and director. And you're just like, I could just stay at one studio and work my way all the way up. That's the worst thing you can do. It's just like think so linear and stuff. Right. And then once you start breaking that apart, start thinking a little bit differently, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, especially nowadays, like, our parents or their parents or whatever, you went to one place, you worked there until you retired, you worked your way up the ladder. That's not the way it is with us, nowadays. Like you maybe stay in a field for a year or two and then move on to something different, And one of the joys, like you were saying, one of the joys about our industry is that if you don't like the job, you can always just go back to freelancing. Just easy,
Yeah, you can't do that in a lot of other industries.
Yeah.
That's so true.
How long were you there?
In London?
Yeah.
A full year, and then they had a heat wave like during the summer. And at that time, and okay, here's the thing with London. They don't have AC in their apartments, even if it's a brand new building. And I was living in a brand new building, all glass, like on the top floor. And it was so hot, I checked into a hotel for a week.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then it was right around then that they asked me if I wanted to move to like Menlo Park office here in California. I was like, hell yeah, dude, I'm ready. I got my bags packed. Like, I just need to get out of this heat wave. So then I moved out to California, and it's just been really nice, like ever since, it's nice being back in the US, and London was like a really good experience to travel everywhere.
Chicago, New York, London, San Francisco.
Yeah, like that's work history right there.
So now it's just 57 and foggy every day, right? Is that the weather?
Exactly. Well, it's foggier up in actual San Francisco, but I'm in the Bay Area, so it's like always kind of nice and sunny.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is kind of good. I mean, everything you're seeing right now is just natural light. So.
And I guess there's a follow-up question from Lorcan in the chat. Can you speak to the usability of Spark over Lens Studio? Is Lens Studio for Snapchat?
Yeah, okay. Lens Studio is for Snapchat. They're both very similar. The only thing is which platform you really want to create for, you know? Gotcha. If you want to create for Snapchat, you got to use Lens Studio. If you want to create for Instagram and Facebook, then you're going to want to use Spark AR.
So you have to. It's not like you could use one and port it to the other.
Yeah, it doesn't, because it exports a very different kind of file.
I gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. So can you use Spark AR for anything else other than just Facebook, Instagram stuff?
Yeah.
For at the moment, it is it's very much so built for it. Because the software has only been out of beta for the last year and a couple of months. Yeah, so it's still relatively new. Cool. So imagine Cinema 4D in the first year, you know?
Yeah.
But essentially it's really geared towards what you could do with the face. And we have all sorts of trackers. So there's some really cool things that are going on. If you look at the Spark AR community, the public group on Facebook, people are posting all sorts of interesting things they're doing. There are things where they change your contact lens colors and things like that.
Cool.
There's things where your face just kind of meshes out into different things. There's a lot of holiday filters and things like that. You'll see a lot of Santas and things like that.
As we saw from our holiday episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was using the Snapchat like filter that you can use on through Skype and stuff.
Yeah.
I just put little hats and snowing or whatever.
There you go. Yeah, that would essentially be created in Lens Studio, or if it was for Facebook and Instagram, then Spark AI. But there's a lot. The thing is, it's easier to learn right now than it will be once it starts getting more complicated. Right. And it's easier to like get a handle of it, or kind of grasp the idea of how AR works right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
He also asked, how was the transition from motion to tech? Do you feel your time is as effectively spent? How about not having those motion industry typical deadlines?
Yeah, it's okay. So this kind of also even falls into in-house versus studio and things like that. It's a weird, there's a give and take kind of thing, like pros and cons to both. I do sometimes miss like having the motion design, like working as a whole team on things the way that we usually do in studios. But I kind of like I'm learning. I don't know. It's interesting. You kind of create a lot more on your own, and then you go through review sessions with your team, and then it gets eventually gets submitted or works out, gets approved. There's quite a few motion designers, animators, and illustrators at Facebook that work on different teams. There's one or two on my team as well. And like I'm getting lunch with like 7 female animators and illustrators, women of color too, actually, on Thursday, that are all working within like my vicinity or on teams that I work with. So there is a bit of an industry, like quite a lot of motion designers and illustrators already there. And I've kind of like always, my friends have asked me this all the time, like, why leave, the studio work to go in-house at one of these places like Pepsi or at Facebook and things like that.
Right.
And honestly, I kind of like the work-life balance that I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
I like having a life. When I was in like studios and stuff, I'd be coming home at like 8 p.m. the earliest sometimes, especially in New York with like, traffic or subways and things like that. Like it would just always be so late, and then I'd have to make dinner, wash dishes, eat. Like it would just be a whole thing. Call my parents because we don't, they live far away and stuff. So just so many things, laundry, everything. And by the time I was really done with my day, it would be like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Here, I get my meals at Facebook. And then like, it's just like everything is so much easier. There's a shuttle that picks me up from my apartment, takes me to the office, right? And I get my work done on the shuttle. Sometimes I like to drive instead, so I'll drive, but it's just
I've heard about this shuttle. There's
Wi-Fi on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it true that there's like computer monitors that you can hook up and like actually work?
Not on every seat, but there's like 4 or 5 of them on each one.
That's so funny.
But it's just kind of like, it's such a nice work-life balance that by the time I get home, I can just hang out. I still have time to like go into the city and like chill with friends, or I have time to like work on like something in Cinema 4D for fun and things like that.
Yeah.
Jealous.
And it's
super jelly.
Being able to do like side projects like that, like without being stressed out coming home at 11 and trying to work on like an everyday or something is just impossible. But having the actual time to like learn things makes a huge, huge difference. And a lot of our community is online now, like that it doesn't even like totally matter that like, to be honest, when I was in New York, I could rarely go to like hangouts and meetups and things like that with our industry. Only because like we'd be coming home so late, or like I remember like 3 or 4 times I had planned to go to a meetup and I had to cancel because a deadline came in and I had to stay late.
Right.
Yeah.
And here I get like a month of vacation and stuff. And it's just like, even at Pepsi, I got 3 weeks of vacation, and having that time to like just be able to clear your head properly and travel and like just do something really different makes a huge difference.
Yeah, not having to worry about that's one thing with freelancing. If you take a vacation, it's almost like you have to have a constant stream of communication with all your clients in order to remind them, hey, I exist, keep me working,
Yeah.
And if you go away for 3 weeks, it's like it's going to take you a couple of weeks to get back into the swing of getting more work back in. Yeah.
And projects always go a little over. I remember when I was like freelancing, I'd have to take my laptop with me in case like a client was just like, oh, like I know you sent this file, but can you just fix this one thing and send it back? And like I can't go 3 weeks without saying anything at that point, right? Like I have to take my computer with me at all times. So stuff like that can get like you just never have that full ability to just leave it all behind. But being able to do that made a huge difference. And I know a lot of like the studios, I had opportunities to go full time as well. But they offer like maybe 2 weeks of vacation, 10-hour work days, right? Yeah. And then no pay for overtime. And it just wasn't like, like you make great work, but at some point you have to like learn to also just prioritize yourself as well,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's actually, I don't remember where it was. I don't know if it was in the States or where it was. Somebody was pushing this bill that would make it illegal for your employer to contact you outside of work hours.
France. That's France. It passed. I'm pretty sure they can't do that. Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Wasn't France like that already, though?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they passed that in France, which is why you can't get ranch computing to talk to you after regular hours.
True. Yeah, I also saw a thing.
My weekly jab at ranch computing.
Yeah.
Right. I also saw a post. Oh man, I should have saved it for the show. It was somebody's email signature, and I'll try and find it. But it was really good. It was about hours, and essentially what it said.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was on Reddit.
Was it on Reddit?
And it said my office hours are not your typical hours, so don't feel pressured to respond to me immediately. You know, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, is this it here? Yeah. My working hours may not be your working hours. Please do not feel obligated to reply outside of your normal work schedule. And that person puts that on the bottom of all of their emails because, I think it's a good courtesy because when somebody sends you an email now and it's 11 o'clock at night, you do feel obligated to respond right away. It's like, well, I saw the email.
Yeah, it's easy to just send a quick email reply if you're just sitting there watching TV or something, but then they may assume that you're working.
Oh, you're working now,
Yeah.
And so then the conversation starts. I think it's good to put that on the bottom of yours, meaning if you get this and you're with your family, then wait till tomorrow. Yeah. It's not an emergency. Yeah. So
we need more of that in this world.
Yeah, definitely. The other kind of nice thing between the two are deadlines, like the only deadlines I have to worry about is when I have an effect that's due for like a holiday or something, like Christmas or Halloween or something. That's like kind of a bit of a hard deadline. But a lot of the other ones you can kind of, you just got to be responsible with your time, but you get to like manage it yourself,
Yeah.
And being able to take responsibility for that makes a huge difference. And also when you're in-house, you're kind of expected to bring a lot more. Like you get to be more than just a motion designer. You have to like learn to produce yourself a little bit. You got to learn to like give direction as well, because you work with like a lot of outside vendors and everything. And it kind of like forces you to step up to that next level. Whereas in studios, you're just really trying to, I guess in studios, you're almost just trying to make the art director and creative director happy. And that's your thing. And then they make the client happy. And that's, the situation. Whereas like being in-house, I really had the opportunity to kind of just give my own, like kind of make things that I personally felt passionate about. And things that like I thought would make a difference, Yeah.
That's cool.
I wanted to talk real quick about your render engine of choice because you use standard render engine, right?
No, you used Octane.
I
think
used well, I switch around.
yeah.
So I use Octane right now, but I've been meaning to switch into Redshift. Because
Yeah.
that's what I've been saying that for so long and I just haven't gotten
Me
around to it.
too.
That's my only problem.
Yeah,
But
I think I was thinking of.
I would like to say I am full on Redshift now.
yeah.
Like it's taken me a while, but like if I'm not working on a project with Dave where it requires Octane,
Yeah.
like I am all in Redshift.
I guess
Yeah.
it was. I guess I'm thinking about. It was a video with a snake in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American Horror Story one,
Yes,
right?
that
Yeah.
was standard render, wasn't it?
That was physical, yeah. Physical render.
Yeah.
And that's because I was a year out of school and I couldn't afford an eGPU to do Octane and Redshift yet. So I of course had my Mac trash can and that was all I was able to buy at that time. And the thing is you can make things work, you know, if you just understand materials and lighting, you can find a way to create Octane-like renders with, you know, physical and standard.
It looked very much like Octane. It was very
it was
impressive.
a beautiful piece. Super beautiful piece.
Everyone was kind of I honestly so that they had asked me to do it in Octane and stuff and I was like, oh fuck, I need to get like an eGPU. So I was like, you know what, it pays enough that like
okay, the studio asked you, right?
they were like, can you do it in Octane? And I was like, sure. So I was like, okay, I have to buy an eGPU now. So I bought one. It's not working. There's like something went wrong like in the setup and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this done somehow. So I showed it to them and like I was like, okay, let me at least just start working on it. I'll tell them the look dev will come a little later after I forget this thing. And I did it and they were like, that looks great, like you know, and I was like, oh, and they're like, yeah, that look is approved. And I was like, okay, I guess
so you bought the eGPU for nothing.
I bought the eGPU for nothing. And then I finally did figure it out like maybe 3 months later that like all I had to do was put it into like 5 and 6 port. You can't put it in 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Oh,
gotcha.
Weird.
Something stupid as that.
Those things are so finicky.
Yeah, they are. And then, which is why like all of a sudden then there was the Mac update where the eGPU stopped working. And then I went out and got like a MSI laptop after that. So I just gave up. I gave up on this whole eGPU thing. I've spent so much money on it. If anybody wants 3 1080 Ti's, I got them. So
I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot of takers on that. There's always people looking for those.
I got them, but I used physical for like the longest time and made it work, and nobody noticed. So that's the trick. Just you can't let anybody know, right?
Like, this doesn't look like Octane. I used Octane, I swear.
Yeah. See, we've already got takers in the chat room who are
perfect.
Hook me up. So there is a Redshift thing that I wanted to mention real quick. It's the only like render information that I have for this week is there was an update. I'll post a link, but it's in the Redshift forum. So you have to be registered in order to see this post, but it's just an article or not an article, but a forum post where they talked about what they're doing as far as RTX. Because everybody wants to know in Redshift what's going on with these RTX cards. Long story short, it's not that much of a performance boost. It depends on what you're doing, and the highest I think that they've seen is 40%. That's kind of in a nutshell.
Only a 40% increase.
Well, that's
a pretty big increase.
That's the highest. What it sounded like to me, just from what I was...
I'm going to render things 40% faster, but it's not a lot.
That's only that's the extreme case.
Okay.
You know, and apparently... Other than that, it's not that much faster. I don't know. Maybe it's something where it's not really going to be that fast until they get to 3.0. They wouldn't comment on 3.0 is the problem on Redshift 3. They just kept saying, oh, we're not going to talk about 3. And we're not going to answer any questions about 3. And this has nothing to do with 3. And then people asked about 3 and they said, we're not answering questions about 3. So that's all I've seen so far. I'm glad that Octane and Redshift are both working on the RTX. stuff, because I think it's going to be really great for people who own these cards now. They're going to see at least some little portion of a boost, if not a lot. But I guess it's just too early for us to know on both of these engines.
Yeah.
So, topic-wise, you sent me 4 different topics here. Number one is...
Snap.
Yeah. Number one is diversity for motion design.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. Good.
Right.
Because I was actually going to ask you, so your half-res talk was fantastic. Fantastic. And you talked a lot about diversity in the workplace. And it's something like we hear a lot about being inclusive to women and stuff and bringing more women into the industry. But you don't hear as much about diversity and bringing in a very diverse group of employees. And what you touched on at Half-Res was there's these times when, someone says something, you're like, okay, that clicks. And that, that changes my way of thinking a bit, And I had that moment watching your talk where you talked about... Okay, can you just kind of give the listeners
synopsis?
Synopsis. Because you were talking about a project that you were working on and how you were able to pull influences from so many different people and their backgrounds in order to create something.
Yeah. So when it comes to diversity for motion design, the reason why it's so important to hire people from different backgrounds, why it makes sense to hire women, why it makes sense to hire people of color, why it makes sense to hire people from different even economic backgrounds and things like that, is because they've experienced life in totally different ways. And I have these conversations all the time with one of my friends, where I grew up in a fairly wealthy area and neighborhood and things like that. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, we used to we had an archery during gym in middle school. And she was just like, what? That's something I've never heard of. And then she was like, we were just having these different conversations and things like that. We experience life so differently. And when we create things, essentially we're all storytellers, right? And if you've noticed in the motion design industry, we're sometimes telling the same exact story over and over again. And
People's
that's because,
story.
Yeah, exactly. We're just taking people's stories and that's all we're telling. But the thing is if we drew on people, if we, I guess, put people who had different experiences on our teams, surrounded ourselves with people of diversity, we'd get to experience how they see things, be able to learn newer stories and tell very different stories. I think about even just my background. So my dad was born in Africa. He's Indian, but he was born in Africa. And so we have a lot of African art and stuff in our house. So a lot of I was thinking about when I was working on the UI design for Black Panther, I started to draw from the patterns and stuff that I grew up with or seeing as a child. And there was my thesis project in school, I drew from a story that was told, part of Hindu and Indian scriptures. Everything I work on is drawing from a different experience, and that's how my stories have been a little bit different. I have a friend that loves just gross things. And it's just she grew up watching so much of Ren and Stimpy, Real Monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she Tanisha Foreman, you can check out her site, Nearshot.
I will.
Yeah, and she works right now on the Patriot Act for Zermatt. She's really, really talented. Yeah, and it's just it's funny because everything's just gross. She made a thesis film about torturing monkeys, lab monkeys. It's just things just falling apart and stuff, which is great. But I would never be able to come up with that story the way that she did. She knows it so well, right? And that's something I've never really seen before, a motion designer do to that level. Because she just had something totally different to tell,
Yeah.
And if you've seen like a lot of those Atlantic pieces, like the Atlantic, like they put out these motion graphics all the time that are on like things like diversity and class and like policies and
yeah, Caitlin does a lot of those. Yeah.
Tanisha worked with her as well. So there's, like the stories feel different from what you see at other places because it's coming from people with very different backgrounds. Yeah. Which is why those stick so well,
Yeah.
But I think like sometimes people see hiring for diversity as in the wrong way. For instance, they're like, well, if I have two candidates that are exactly the same, right? You have one that's a white male and another one that's a black female, let's say. And everything's the same, then why would I hire do I just hire simply to fill a quota and things like that? And it's like, no, you don't hire to fill a quota, but you're hiring because you're going to get a different perspective. They have more to offer that you're not going to see on a resume.
Right.
And that's kind of sometimes things,
I like
people
that.
miss.
I like that so much.
Are you looking at that website now?
No, I'm talking about what you're saying. No, I really like what you're saying.
I thought you were scrolling the website.
No.
Yeah.
I'll share it after for sure. I like to talk to my friends about they're just so talented. You gotta give them a shout out sometimes.
The stories are going to be more diverse if they're not coming from your typical mid-30s married white guy balding with glasses and a beard.
Who grew up in the same middle class family and everything,
Yeah.
And of course everybody has a different story to tell, but you can only go so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's you could go a lot further with people with very different stories to tell. And those are the films that are the most interesting too, if you think about it, I hate watching this, all rom-coms are the same.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
You mean terrible? Yeah.
Yeah, just about. But it's the same story with just a different twist. And that's kind of what's happening a little bit with motion design, we're showing the same thing with a small twist. But let's do something totally, totally different. And you're going to get that with people from different backgrounds.
All those rom-coms have the same kind of generic title too, it's complicated. Or don't even go there.
Have you seen They Came Together? It's
No.
with it's with Tina Fey, or not Tina Fey, Amy Poehler and what's his name? The guy who plays Ant-Man.
Paul.
Yeah.
Something.
Paul
Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's in every romantic comedy, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So they play.
Uh-oh, lost you.
But it is it's with all the tropes. She is super clumsy, and very lovable because she's super clumsy, so she's constantly falling, and it's so ridiculous. It's kind of a play off of You've Got Mail, which and because she owns this tiny little candy shop on the corner, and he owns this massive candy factory.
Oh my gosh.
So he's putting her out of business, even though she gives away all of her candy for free to everyone because it's always free. I don't know. It's
Sounds like a parody.
It is a parody. Yeah, it's super parody of
that
romantic
makes more
comedies.
sense.
Oh, okay.
So I recommend it because it's funny, and it's got Amy Poehler in there, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Definitely different types of romantic comedies would be super welcome.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's one of the reasons why films like Black Panther just did so well. Is because of how different it was from other from existing action films or existing Marvel movies. Same with Spider-Man Into the Universe. That was just so different.
Yeah.
And you could tell they had a very interesting people, diverse people that were working on those films,
Yeah.
People that you just don't think of to do a film like that. It's just insane. The Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the main character too. He was
Miles Morales.
Yeah, he was what was he? He was African American mixed with
Hispanic, I believe.
Was it Puerto Rican? So he spoke Spanish as well, and that's such a great. It's just such a great. The story is just so great because there's so much diversity. Like all the different characters coming from different different dimensions, of course, but but different backgrounds and different parts of the world. I think that's what made it so good. Because even my mom, we had it on and my mom saw it. She was like, "Wow, this is really good," And I'm like, I know.
And if your mom thinks it's cool,
if my mom thinks it's cool, because usually it's like a superhero movie, it's a comic book movie. People like my parents are gonna be like, but so we kind of touched on the in-house versus studio thing, but pros and cons to both. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that? Because we touched on it a second ago, but I don't know if there's more you want to add to that, or
I think
or do you want to add the freelancing world in there as well?
Oh yeah, between all of them it's really, really different. Okay, so freelance, like, pros and cons, right? When you're doing it remote, there's a problem to the point that you're just always at home kind of thing. And I love being able to like talk to the people around me, and or somebody will walk by and just be like, oh, that looks a little bit off. I miss having somebody just like walk behind me and say something,
right.
Or just give their instinct opinion. And stuff like that is just so important. I have to I thank God for my friends who are just always on GChat or have their messages open. I just keep sending screenshots to them, be like, hey, what do you think of this? How's this coming along? And they're always giving me feedback and stuff like that. But you only really build that community by being in-house or at a studio, even if you're freelancing somewhere, and actually build that community, then you can go remote, I don't think I could have ever just been remote this whole time. I would have never learned anything. You learn so much just being at studios. But at the same time, remote, I think switching it off every here and there, doing a couple where you're in a studio freelancing and then going remote for a little bit, getting a break, and then going back to it. I had this director that kind of gave me a really interesting perspective on how to approach things. And his name is Paul Woodbine. I'll also give him a shout out. But he told me that the way you kind of approach it is your career's 40 years long. That's insane. That's longer than my entire lifetime. And it's a very long amount of time to do one thing. You do not want to be doing the same thing the entire time. And you keep I kept thinking of it as oh, I want to be a creative director. I want to be a creative director, that's my goal. That's everybody's goal, right? So how do you kind of break out of that cycle? And the thing is once you get there, and you might get there at 35 or 33 or something, right? After that, you're stuck until you're 65 as in that position, right? And he was don't think of it as the position you want to get to. Think about how you want to fill the 40-year career with as many different experiences and opportunities as you can. So I think that's kind of where I ended up taking AR too. I was this is something new. I want to try it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's it'll go into point 4 afterwards, but it's just really, that's kind of just the way to think about it. And he was at different points in your life, you're going to need something different. He's when you're in your 20s, you could jump around a lot, right? Once you have a kid, you might want to do freelance work, or, if you need some flexibility. Or in his case, he went in-house when he had a kid. So that way, he had health insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's he's at different points, you're going to want something different. So being flexible, having the skills to go from in-house or in a studio to being freelance, having the producer skills that you need as well, building that network, always be prepared for what life could throw at you.
Yeah.
And everybody gets to the point probably in their life where they realize that residual income would be amazing. But also, I feel like people get to the point where, I mean, gosh, like even I love what I do, but I even go through days where I'm just like, I don't want to do this right now.
This past week has been like that
for you.
When you've got a client who is hounding you and then calling you or emailing you at 11 o'clock at night, or I was up till 3 a.m. working on a project, and then I took a 1 hour nap in the afternoon, and someone called me and thought I went dark because I didn't answer their phone call.
Oh my
gosh. No, I just took a nap.
Just taking a nap because I've been working for you around the clock.
Right. So
if you don't respond for an hour and they think you went dark, it means you respond pretty quickly otherwise.
Right, that's true.
That's true. I am very connected to my phone, sadly.
Yeah. It's like I guess like with kids and stuff, you know, sometimes if they get so used to like you giving them ice cream the second they get home, you know, and then all of a sudden you stop and it's just like what just happened kind of thing.
Yep.
Then you gotta like space it out with your clients, maybe, you know. Like you know, you're ready to respond, but just give it an hour and then respond. You know
what? You're totally right. You're totally right, because I've got this one client who will call us literally the day before we leave for like an event or something where we're going to be gone for a week, and I'll tell him, listen, I can't do this while I'm gone, and then he'll hit me up for changes, and I'm just like, and I always end up doing the changes. It's it's totally my fault. It's totally my fault. Yeah, you're right.
And
that is some bad training.
I know.
You use that email scheduler, man. I'm telling you, you finish a job and then you set it for 4:59.
I don't know. I just like to talk to people. Maybe it's my social butterflyness where I feel bad. Also, I got a terrible short attention span or whatever. Sure. So like if I don't respond immediately, I will completely forget that they even exist. And I've had that happen a few times.
No, that's happened with me trying to contact you before, where I've texted you about something or called you and I haven't heard back in 2 hours, and that's a big deal. So like I'll actually text Matt's wife and be like, is Matt okay? I haven't heard from him in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You set a terrible precedent. Like even in your personal life.
Yeah, if you just stop responding to people, then they'll understand that you just never respond. I think that's
But don't go that far.
Well, at least for social media, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I hate people who don't answer their phone or who don't respond to a text message immediately. It's like, hey, I can respond, you know? I need this answer now.
Those people actually are attempting work-life balance, Matt.
Yeah.
I got plenty of work-life balance. No, I take that back. Not that week and a half.
That's cool, though.
What's the next thing on the list? Number 3 was... well, and this is sort of kind of what we were starting to talk about, was developing your skills in different ways, taking on side projects outside of motion design.
Yeah, so this is kind of, I mean, we talk about like diversity in hiring and like just by people, by their different experiences, but it's also in like based on their skill and stuff too. So I take a huge interest in photography. And it's
good
just,
photographer too. You're a very good photographer.
I started doing that a lot, especially when I got to London. First thing I did is I bought myself a really nice camera. And I was like, okay, this is, if I'm gonna be out here, if I'm gonna like want to travel and everything, I'm gonna make sure I capture it really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do it the right way. So I like spent so much money on like a nice camera, all these like different lenses and everything too. And I would just take like a trip. Like Paris was a 2-hour train ride away. So I'd go to like Paris for the weekend and then come back and stuff like that. Or like Amsterdam was an 1.5-hour flight, and the airport was 5 minutes behind me. And it was like the tiny airport that it was technically, it went like international, went to JFK, like there, and then it went to all over Europe. So it was like a tiny little airport, and security would take me all of like 5 minutes max on a busy day.
Amazing.
So I'd sometimes just go straight from work, go to my apartment, pick up my stuff, right, swap things out, and then just go straight to the airport, and then fly in Monday morning, go to my apartment, shower, and then go to work.
Yeah.
So I would sometimes do that, and that was like the best thing ever. So I went like everywhere. I went to Amsterdam. I went to Iceland.
Iceland's amazing.
Iceland was my favorite.
It's so good.
Not even gonna lie, like last night I stayed up a little too late looking to see if I could ever afford a home in Iceland. I can't afford one here in the area.
You and Dave.
Gotta split that, yeah.
Dave just wants to make enough money to where he can live in Iceland for half the year and then come back here.
Oh my gosh, it's the best.
I'll take the other half of the year.
Yeah.
Like, we'll split
there
it.
you go. All right, we're splitting a house. You're gonna take the cold part though.
That's fine. That's when you get the northern lights. I'll take it. Yeah, you're giving it up a little.
Yeah.
Matt and I lucked out and got to see the northern lights. Man, I'm telling you, that is insane. It is insane. We lucked out
I went during the summer, so I didn't get to see it, but it was still really awesome. I went to Rome, Geneva, Zurich. There's this little town called Zermatt, which was a lot of fun, and they don't let cars into this town. It's where the Matterhorn mountain is. Cool. So, and it was just like you just walk everywhere. And then there was this town near Amsterdam called Saint-Saëns, which I'm totally mispronouncing, but that's how it's spelled. And everything is green. Like the houses are all green, the bridge, everything's just painted green. The water looks green because of the moss and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like the most like picturesque thing you'll ever see. But like being able to go out there, like photograph everything, you learn how to. Okay, so with motion design, everything always takes long to do. You know, at least with Octane and Redshift now, you can see the render a little bit more real time. But building everything up, like being able to, there's so much to practice. Whereas in photography, you can just start moving around, right? You learn to play with light in real life. You learn to play with a camera in real life, a lens in real life. And I was able to take a lot of what I learned there about like real life lighting situations and like camera situations as well, and brought that into what I do in 3D. So a lot of what you end up doing kind of influences what you see or like what you're practicing outside. So like even my travels and stuff like that, like and like editing photos. So once I started like playing with like editing photos in Lightroom and stuff like that, I started developing like kind of a style for all my photography. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't use this style in my 3D. Why not? Like, it just looks so much more interesting. So, like, playing around with stuff like that, I'm now going to, like, start thinking about how I change my visual 3D style to kind of, like, match my photography style a little bit more.
Learning the basics of how a shutter works, and ISO, and all that kind of stuff, which I started with a kind of consumer camera years ago, like a little pocket Canon camera, but learning all of that stuff way back in the day and kind of evolving and getting better cameras, it's helped me a lot in understanding cameras, especially with those third-party render engines that have such similar controls.
Yeah, there's a neat trick so I got like a super wide lens, and I was like, when you bring a camera into Cinema 4D, so here's a free tip for everybody. It always comes up at 36 millimeters.
Right.
Take that and turn it to like 16 or 17 or something, and just get really close and just see how it distorts everything. It's so cool. Like that's kind of like been my new little trick to work with and stuff. It's just really changing that camera depth. So
yeah, I always, for wide, I'll always start at like 22 and then just kind of go from there. Or if I'm working on something that requires a telephoto, I'll start at least with a 50, which isn't that much, I guess, but at least start with a 50 instead of using that default 36 like everybody uses, you know?
Yeah.
36 or die, ride or die, 36 forever. I don't know what I'm saying.
Just making things up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you learn stuff from different things. I used to do like a little bit of like experience, like generative art and stuff too. Back in like generative art's like coding art and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. and I thought it was just like, you know, stupid fun kind of thing, you know, like playing with Arduino and stuff as well and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I never thought that would be useful. And then now all of a sudden people are putting out so much generative art. And I'm just like, crap, I wish I like retained any of what I had like taught myself back then.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what's been the new thing lately as well. So, but yeah, stuff like that helps.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Micah in Maryland.
Okay.
Maryland Institute College of Art. Yeah.
Okay.
And cool. They have like an animation program, interactive design program. So I like learned a lot of the coding stuff through interactive design classes. And then for animation, so okay, here's the thing. I came in halfway through. I transferred in. I studied biochemistry for 2.5 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was gonna become a dentist, and then like as I was studying for my DATs and stuff, I was just like, I am spending way too much time playing in Photoshop, and
that's funny.
I just want to take a leap here, so I
did hear that story a lot. You know,
yeah,
like David Arya was like, you know, neuroscience.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Funny thing is, like, my sister had gone to study, so she was in med school already, and then dropped out to do a master's in interior design. And funny. So my poor parents, they like paid for so much schooling. They ended up with like, you know, they thought they were gonna get like, you know, two doctors and an architect, and they ended up with 3 artists, you know. Like as if it wasn't already expensive, you know, and then they put us through like 3 private art schools too, you know.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. It's a good thing. Well, it's their fault. They had HGTV running on in our house all the time, you know. So that happens sometimes when you do that.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I had like a very different background, and honestly, I'm kind of glad for it because once I got into art school, I was like so worried all the time that I was like behind everybody else. I was like, I don't have any art like background and stuff. So what I would do is I'd learn whatever I learned in school like during the day, and then I'd go home and teach myself like Cinema 4D and stuff like that. And so like I would.
You're so smart. Like I had kids at my college and who just didn't care, you know.
Right.
And it's like I'm learning all this stuff. I'm watching video Copilot tutorials. Why aren't you guys doing this?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, Video Copilot's where I started, and then GSG, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just so like, but honestly, I think about it like, had I just gone straight into art school, I maybe wouldn't have taken it as seriously as I did afterwards.
For sure, yeah.
Like, just being like, oh my God, I already wasted my parents' money on like that in New York for like 2.5 years, you know?
Yeah.
And then at that point, I was just like, okay, I need to like, you know, get it together. And art, okay, with at least like dentistry or biochem, you're like, it's easy to get a job after.
Yeah.
Like easier, sorry. But like
and easier to pay off your student loans.
Yeah. So well, I was fortunate that like my parents, they had a rule essentially that they'll pay for your undergrad, but you pay for your grad school. Kind of thing.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I'm gonna use that with my kid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It was kind of a really good rule. So yeah, but I took like 6 years to graduate, so that's what happened.
That's all right. I got an associate's in television, 2-year associate's degree in 10 years. So, you know.
Yeah, I got 2 associate's degrees, right? That counts as 1 bachelor's, right?
It does. Right. It counts. But yeah, so like, I don't know. I just like ended up working so much harder because I just felt bad, and it was like I don't know if I can guarantee a job in this, you know. And I always felt like I was so behind. And at some point I like caught up and I just never realized it. Like I built it into a habit to like work this hard.
That's awesome.
Like at some point, like I think, you know what it was? It was when they asked me to do like a SIGGRAPH presentation. That's when one of my friends was like, you know, you caught up like a long time ago, right? And like, that's when it occurred to me. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize like just by working like this hard continuously, you know, like I can actually take a break now.
Right.
Yeah, and like realizing that was kind of a big thing.
But
Yeah.
it's good because you found what you love, and I think a lot of people that are jumping off like that and are in school and like, oh, I kind of like this motion graphics thing instead.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, have you seen the stand-up comic slash actor? Is it Ken Jeong or Young?
Oh yeah.
Ed Young. Yeah.
Young?
I
don't
haven't seen his Netflix special.
It's
the
good.
one I saw it like come up though, but I need to get to it.
He talks about that in there though, because you know his parents wanted him to be a doctor and all of that, and he was, you know, he already had a practice and everything, you know.
Yeah.
So he talks about that whole situation. I just ended up acting in comedy instead, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And honestly, you get to bring those experiences in.
Yeah.
Because like comedy is based on your life stories, really. But I had like a project for CNN, like a freelance thing, and it was like about what happens to your body when it goes into space, and it was like a really quick thing. And they're like, "Do you have any like understanding of like the human body and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I think
Why,
so."
yes,
Little
I
bit.
do.
And like, you know, so I mean, they were pretty happy with the end product and stuff, but I think it's largely because, you know, of like that past experience and stuff, you know, that I was able to draw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diversity, right? Their backgrounds.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? You never know how many motion designers have changed their major at a certain point.
Right.
They
Yeah.
have a different background.
Diversity in all different ways.
Right?
Yeah. And
I've-
here's the weird thing as well. Like, I don't know how I got into animation.
I was
came
gonna
in,
say.
Yeah, I came in as like a graphic design major, and then something happened, and it's just like blanked in my mind how I ended up as an animation major. Like something
funny.
happened. I don't know. I don't even know what it was. Yeah. Maybe I filled out the wrong form. I don't know.
That's funny.
I don't know if I would have, like, I fell into motion graphics by accident after coming from television. I don't know if I would still be in television or not if I were just doing television. You know?
I fell in love with editing. I loved editing. I loved editing, which then turned into After Effects. Fell in love with After Effects, which then I wanted to make 3D, so I fell in love with 3D. And that was yeah.
I think that's the general progression. You know,
Yeah.
you start in After Effects, then go to C4D.
Yeah.
We like at our school they taught us 3ds Max,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's because I know, right?
Same
It's
here.
because Maryland was all like, you know, gaming studios,
Yeah.
so they thought
Yeah.
we would all go into those, and I
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm gonna do advertising. But everybody thought I was gonna go into film at first,
Yeah.
and I specifically chose not to because I went to SIGGRAPH like as a student volunteer back in the day. And I talked to this one guy. He was telling me this story about how he was working on Lord of the Rings, and he like described this whole scene. And I was like, I don't think I remember that scene. And he was like, yeah, I worked on it for like 6 months. It got cut.
Yes.
6 months of your work, and it just gets cut. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I can't like work on only crowd simulations. Like I need to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's what motion design lets you do, that film doesn't let you do and gaming doesn't let you do.
Wow, that's painful.
Yeah, I know. That's enough to like crush all your dreams. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like basically saying, I'm going to pay you for 6 months for working really hard and seeing nothing
Yeah.
come of
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I already get crushed like when style frames I design don't get picked, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, oh, that was like a weak word. 6
Yeah.
months? Hell no. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going through that.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Glenn is saying in the chat, I wish motion graphics existed when I was in art school. Phil, Raid Zero, he says the same thing. You know, motion graphics were a twinkle in graphic design's eye when I went to university. It was kind of the same for me. I did take the side 3D Max course, but it wasn't really motion graphics back then. You know, it was like 3D animation. You didn't know where it was going at that point.
Most of my
Yeah.
After Effects was like VFX and compositing and stuff like that. So I've got a really strong background in VFX and compositing, you know, and I'm turned that into 3D motion graphics, I guess.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like I learned animation, but motion graphics came from GSG, like 3D motion graphics.
Yeah.
Like they taught us 3ds Max at school, and I'd go home and learn Cinema 4D, like watching those tutorials, you know.
Yeah.
So
I have friends who are slightly older than me and had kids slightly at a younger age that have kids now that are going to college soon. Who a couple of them hit me up and said, "Oh, they want to go into animation. You know, what college should they go to?" I'm like, possibly none.
Yeah,
maybe, but it depends. But you're not gonna like that answer. But I know they're not gonna like my answer.
Yeah.
You know, grayscalegorilla.com. Go there. It's a lot cheaper.
/university.
Your education, yeah.
GSGU. Oh, that's so good.
GSGU.
You should pitch it.
There you go. Yeah, Phil says macromedia director. Yeah. Oh man, I did some macromedia director projects out of college that were just, oh man.
Wow.
You make the little executable CD with the autorun.inf.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's all before my time, guys. I was born in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's way before my time.
All that stuff was like the precursor to After Effects, basically.
Yes.
You know, and the
Flash animation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
With ActionScript 2 on-click commands on release. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Macromedia Director was Flash before the internet, basically.
Yeah.
So
man.
Yeah, it's what you would see on interactive CDs. But I think it's good to have all that diversity in what you do and in the background and side hobbies that can influence. You know, I forget who it was talking about that when we were at MDC conference. Things that are they're not your craft influencing what you do. But I've been trying to do a little bit more of that. I mean, I've always been into things like, you know, maybe like mountain biking or something. But I recently started. I have this awful phase that I go through where I try and get back into, or I try and do audio stuff. I have a music background, but I have such a hard time grasping certain aspects of trying to make music on a computer, you know? And I've tried to learn Ableton over and over, and I finally got to the point where it just gets frustrating to me because I want to know how to do it well right away. You know?
Yeah.
This would have been a perfect segue for Masterclass.
There you go.
See? There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Sponsored by Masterclass.com.
Right?
Yeah.
And so actually there is a good link that I have here, which is, and I do not remember where this link came from. How to Learn Anything Fast by Josh Kaufman. I'll post a link to this video in the show notes. Anyway, I don't know why, but I decided that I was going to try again. You know, I have an Ableton Push, which I absolutely love, and I hooked it all back up to my Ableton. Now, I've promised myself that I won't buy Ableton Suite until I really need it, because it's a big upgrade price. It's like $700. But I started going through it again, and I don't know what's changed in the last few years, but I felt like I had a better grasp. I was doing more tutorials, and I feel like maybe every time that I did it, I learned a little bit more to where I didn't have to go back and start over. But there's so much to it that still makes sense because of motion graphics.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. You know, when it comes to settings, when it comes to... I mean, I have a background in audio as well, but just like, you know, recording voices and stuff. Nothing major. I know what a compressor is. I know what a limiter is. But there's so much about just designing a song that I didn't understand that I felt like I learned a little bit more recently when I started. And this weekend, I just had this epiphany where like just something started clicking and it started to make sense to me like it didn't before. And now I'm at the point where like I think that I could actually do this for fun and actually not get frustrated with it. So now I'm like thinking...
So now all of our songs and stuff are going to be made all by Dave.
I'm going to sit here and make some beats for our next show.
Yep, for our demo reel.
Job security.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that if you do these things on the side that are not related to motion graphics, it really helps. And I am the type of person that when I want to do something for fun, what I've been doing in the past, if besides playing video games, which I like, but I don't feel like I'm really like improving myself, is I would sit down in front of the computer and I would open up Cinema 4D for fun, which is great, but just so much motion design. And this weekend was refreshing because I stepped back for a day and I was still at my desk. You know, it's cold outside. There's really nothing else to do right now, but it was nice to do something else at my desk that wasn't motion graphics related. And I feel like it's expanding my mind a little, and maybe I'll approach things differently when I come back to motion graphics. So
yeah, I draw a lot of inspiration from like architecture and interior design as well. So like even just like traveling and seeing like all these patterns or like the way they like build things, it's very different color palettes and things like that. So like even just like going into the city for a day and just taking it all in, it somehow always like finds its way back into my work some way or another. And you never know what comes back into it. Like maybe from playing video games, you're getting an idea of like the storytelling aspect of how like video games are kind of set. Yeah, I don't know. You just never know. Yeah, it makes me feel better for all the stupid things like, you know, I bought as a kid and stuff, you know?
I often will sit down and look at a video game and be like, man, look at the specular on that. You know?
Yeah, right?
So, I mean,
Dude,
there is
Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers. Like checking out those high-res, you know, details on the renders. Super nice.
I played 2 games as a kid, like nonstop. It was on like the Super Nintendo, and it was always Mario Kart or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a Switch?
No, I don't have a Switch yet, but
it's
definitely a purchase. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna get.
Because there's the new Mario Kart, and then like Super Smash Brothers is basically a fighting game. So
I don't know. Have you, dude? They actually just announced the new Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 11.
11.
Looks pretty good. Yeah.
How's it already on 11?
I know, right? I know.
This one goes to 11.
They showed off like Johnny Cage's like finishing moves and stuff like that. And like one of his finishing moves was like he kills the guy or something or punches him in the face, and then they go, nope, sorry, take 2, you know, and then he does it again, and take 3, and do the little clapper thing. It's pretty funny.
Oh, they do it. Oh, in the game they do it over and over.
In the game.
Oh,
in
nice.
the game. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Pretty
That's
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
Your fourth topic was expanding your field of application, which again we've kind of segued into already.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was kind of just like that 40-year career thing, you know, just trying to fill it with as many different experiences as you can. I think the biggest mistake that you can make is just only doing advertising or only doing like one thing the whole time. Because essentially motion design, it's all about creative thinking, and motion design is just like the application, right?
Yeah.
But your skills are so much more broader than that. And if you can apply it to all these different things, you're learning continuously. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's starting to seem like there's more like newer types of jobs opening up with motion design. Like advertising is kind of taking a bit of a backseat in terms of like TV commercials.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you're seeing a lot more like social media or like, you know, kind of motion design. You're seeing a lot of experiential design works. Like that's something I realized when I was at Pepsi, just how much more experiential design matters than commercials do. Yeah, it's just like it's interesting. And I think like being able to be adaptive, like you don't want to spend like 10 years doing only advertising and then somehow trying to adapt to something totally different.
Right.
You don't want to be behind the curve. Like get a bit ahead of the curve and keep an eye out on what's like coming up.
Yeah. It's the same where you're in a at a studio and they say, well, this is the way we've always done it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean you need to still do it that way. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mean, because I am still in the mindset of commercials, TV commercials, you know? But if I look at a majority of the work that we have done over the past however long, like 5 years. I don't think I've done a single TV commercial, but my frame of mind is still for some reason in like TV. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because well, I guess maybe most of it is like YouTube or VFX for movies or something like that. But I've always been in this commercial mindset, I guess, and it's interesting to think about it like interactivity, like the interactive design and stuff like that, or seeing them, whatever.
There's a lot of really good like studios that are doing it, like in Chicago, Leviathan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's a really good example of like stuff that's really coming up, like up and coming. The Mill has their own like interactive department, and yeah, they do a lot of AR stuff as well now. There's Red Paper Heart in New York, a couple other ones. I'm just like blanking on them, but yeah, really, really good stuff. But those are like the like getting into that is kind of the stuff that's going to stick around for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've seen so many good studios like close, because they just don't update or they go through really struggling times. And it's been really recent, like over the last 2 years. I've seen a lot of like studios struggling to get a lot of work. And it's one, because a lot of companies are just going straight to freelancers. Two, they're building huge in-house teams. And the third, they have smaller, like less budgets for just TV commercials and bigger budgets for other things.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to some links real quick. I've got a couple good ones. I told you about a couple of them already, but there's something that it might have been Adam Elder in the Slack who posted this. If you're a nerd type person who likes to jump into GitHub and try new things in GitHub, which I am not, because you have to compile stuff yourself most of the time. There is a great face editing tool that's it's kind of like the healing brush in Photoshop, but it's mountains better. Face editing generative adversarial network with users sketch in color. So basically, somebody has sunglasses on in a photo, you paint them out, and it just fixes everything. That kind of
You
thing.
paint out the sunglasses?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So there'll be a link to that in the show notes. It's SC-FEGAN, and that's GitHub. And then the Nitro box tool. This is, of course, from Nitro. They make a bajillion plugins. But this is for After Effects. It's something that lets you do hard surface modeling really easy, and it looks pretty good. It hasn't shown. I haven't seen like the tessellation, like how it looks when it's done. But
what the actual mesh looks like.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's bool versus volumes and all that kind of stuff where you don't know. I love working with volumes, but the poly count is just so high in the end.
Yeah.
It looks so good, but sometimes you just can't. So I'm going to check that out and maybe report back.
Yeah, I wonder if it's similar to the one that was released like a year or two ago, where it was basically just bools of bools of bools of bools,
Right. So
we'll
check that out. And then, we got to talk about this. Gurnge.
Yeah.
Billy Chicken, he just posted his link to... is it Hoonigan or Hoonigan? And Ken Block's 2019 Ford Escort.
I have no idea. I don't know how to pronounce words.
So it's basically this not race car, but like rally car. And him and Ash Thorpe worked on this design for it, where they basically designed it using 3D software, and then sometimes people will design a car and they'll do it in CAD or something, and then you'll have the renders after. This is starting with a render and using that as the basis, and oh my gosh, it's so good. And I think you told me he just this morning came out with the process video,
Breakdown.
right? Breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh man, that must have been really fun. And he has such a background in that already that this is great. I guess I can try and bring it up. Do you know where he posted the breakdown? Is it in Share or something under Slack or?
I don't know, but you can go to Gringe's website and see a lot of this stuff.
Sure. Maybe he posted it on there.
Yeah. GERNGE.com.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, let me bring it up here on the stream. Look at this.
10 blocks, all new wild Ford Escort rally car.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that is absolutely
pretty.
amazing. I'll move your face off of it here. I'll click on it. You can see, and maybe the breakdown video is in here.
Go to the YouTube channel. Go up right there. Yeah, click on that.
After I watch an advertisement for masterclass. Oh, I'm taking this masterclass. Nice.
Are you?
Yeah. So, man, this is I'm really want to talk to Billy about this, and hopefully he can jump on the show. We're gonna do a live stream breakdown video with Adam Elder this week. And so maybe we can do kind of the same thing with Billy and just have him come on and do a live stream, aside from the podcast, and show off some of the stuff that he did. So it looks like there's a whole video here on the entire thing. So there's Ash Thorpe. That's what he looks like, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll put the link to all that in the show notes. If you're listening in audio, we'll share that with you. And so next up, last one is a link that you sent to me. It's called Captain Disillusion.
Oh, well, yeah, I think everyone knows Captain. I would hope everyone knows Captain Disillusion.
I had heard the name, but I actually hadn't really checked it out.
So Captain Disillusion, basically, anytime you see like what could be a hoax video or something where you're like, oh man, that's so cool, how'd they do that? He basically breaks it down. A super cool guy, YouTuber, and he works a lot in Blender. He's spoken at some of the Blender conventions and stuff like that. So yeah, I sent him an email saying if we could get him on the show. I thought that would be fun.
Yeah, I like it because he will find these little odds and ends that point out that it's a fake video that you would never even imagine, even if you're good at catching those things.
Yeah,
he even like broke down the audio from one of them. It was supposed to be like this fake photo drone thing. He broke down the audio and could tell that it was the same audio clip used over and over again. And if you enhance the audio, you can hear people talking in the background. So
that's funny.
But that's
I also hit up what's his name?
Oh, Andrew Price.
From Andrew Price.
Yeah.
I emailed him, but he didn't respond. So if anyone knows Andrew Price, tell him to call me.
The Blender Guru.
Call me.
All right, guess what? It's time for Beeple's People.
Yay.
I'm going to bring up my Beeple viewer of choice, which is Twitter. Everybody at home can bring up your Beeple viewer of choice. And I usually have this ready, and I didn't have it ready today. So I'm going to Beeple's Twitter account, and I'm going to February 27th, Year of our Lord 2019. And I'm looking at the one called Streaming Wars. He had some great ones. He had some great ones this week. It was hard to choose.
Was this the Mickey Mouse one? Yeah,
yes.
That's what I thought.
Oh, man.
That sounds really good.
I'm pretty sure that was done in Arnold. Like, I think he's on an Arnold kick right now.
An Arnold art.
Maybe.
Toon shader kick.
It could be Octane. But.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
It's
I like
funny.
the Spotlight. If it's Octane, maybe that's Brograph Spotlight. But probably not. All right. So, first of all,
I think the Spotlight was done in post.
Yeah,
personally.
I think so too.
Yeah, because if you look, it's like over everyone.
Oh, it is over. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I see it now.
So, first of all, the story. I already kind of have an idea of what the story is here.
I think I have an idea of what this might be about.
First of all, well, remember we talked about the fact that things like emoji faces and characters and stuff kind of lost their humor in the future. You know, because they're old icons and maybe they symbolize something else at this point. But these Mickey Mouse heads, I almost feel like in the future it's not funny. You know, in the future they represent something else. You know, and it's like So now
I think this is more commentary about current day. You know, I think that has nothing to do with our story. You know, because this is basically, I mean, he's making fun of the fact that Disney's making their own streaming service. You know.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, they broke their contract with Netflix and they're not putting any of their new material on Netflix. And I heard somewhere it's going to cost them like billions of dollars losing that stuff to Netflix. You know, just so they can create their own streaming service
that nobody will subscribe to.
I mean,
people will, but it's not the same.
I mean, I will if they've got every streaming thing, you know, everything that they make. That's a huge library of stuff.
You really think?
And just to be able to tell my kid to sit down and watch, you know, whatever Disney movie he wants.
Well,
yeah, you got to think like Disney owns everything. Star Wars,
yeah.
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
They should have bought Netflix.
Yeah.
Right? Wonder how much that would cost.
The interesting thing about this too, though, is it's kind of like, you know how like when it's done a little differently than just like the emoji heads and stuff. It's kind of a commentary on like when bank robbers go in and they put like a mask on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
that
kind of thing. And it's like, like these guys are like, and sometimes it's funny masks. Like you remember like in Dark Knight and stuff like that. Yeah.
The Joker
so it's
mask
kind of a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's kind of where they're going with this a little bit too, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
Do you think that this is Disney's streaming service taking over a Netflix building, or do you think it's Netflix people?
No, I think
their own
Disney
building?
is holding them hostage.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The next one, this is
I
February.
love people because you know, like knowing him personally and talking to him on the show and stuff like that, it's like I love that he puts these out and he's just like, I don't care, you know. It's not social commentary. You guys take out of it whatever you want, you know. So
that's
he's just making art, you know. Yeah.
The next,
like I wonder if and I've thought about this a lot. Like in the future, like say 100 years from now, when people are talking about like, you know, this time period, the 2010s to 2020s or whatever, and they start talking about influential artists within our when someone 100 years from now takes an art appreciation class, are they going to talk about Beeple, and are they going to break down kind of like what we are doing now? And at any point will we be a reference to that as to, well, the Brograph dudes talked about like had him on the show and he basically says he doesn't care, you know?
There you go.
I don't know. I think that making history right here.
Right.
Essentially, people is your ticket to history, and you should just do every Brograph podcast with only people.
Only people.
Yeah. We can guarantee that, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
February 28th. This is called New York City 2281, and I love when there's the dates because it helps us connect the yarn dots.
I mean, this is obviously because of global warming.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe.
2281. Yeah, I could see.
I don't know. What's interesting about it, though, is that if it is global warming, there's a lot of thriving sea life, you know? Which, like, you've got the coral down here and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Maybe global warming is a good thing.
Life finds a way.
Well, we shouldn't have that kind of coral in New York City. So it's like Australia level. So if we're heating up like Australia, that's a little concerning.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think like the way the light is kind of throwing me off a little on this one. Because it looks like there's also light coming from the left, like directly.
Oh yeah.
And then you have the sunlight coming from one side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The
Put it-
rock is. I'm guessing that's probably some Kit Bash stuff right there on the rock. You know.
Yeah, like the tubes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are definitely Kit Bash.
It's really nice.
The one on top is clear. The bottom one isn't. So.
That's true.
But they're going from rock to rock. Do you think people live under the ground now?
I don't know.
Like, what is this? Or is this not? Or is this more of a...
Maybe these... Okay.
Well, dude has a mask on, I think. Look, so...
These are the piers, you know, that hold up the buildings that have had... That have needed to be lifted up, you know...
Right.
To, because of all the flooding and global warming, right?
Because you couldn't just move inland.
Mm-hmm. But they, you know... They just want to move everything upward towards the sky, so that they don't have to worry about flooding.
Gotcha.
Right?
All right. Not bad. Okay. All right. There's so many good ones, but I'm gonna go to yesterday's, which is March 3rd. This is called Color Dodge, and I'm assuming he was in Photoshop using a bunch of color dodge and said, "That's what I'll call it."
I wonder if this is like just a picture that he photoshopped, or whether he actually rendered this. You know?
It's not a picture. It's too... The lines are way too straight.
Yeah, maybe.
It's too perfect to be a photo. But again, this is toon stuff kind of mixed with textures, mixed with some Photoshop. It's a very interesting meld. And now I do notice that these birds, I'm pretty sure these are the same birds as the one we talked about last week.
Oh yeah.
I have to do a side by side. I bet he's got some photos of some birds that he uses in these.
I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, you got to watch that show, Matt.
Yeah.
Because you weren't there.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
I've heard. Yeah.
The poles, the electricity poles, that's what he uses in a lot of these. So this is obviously a render.
Yeah.
But also notice the sky. You know, your attention is drawn to this, and of course that the train is in the water. But also notice what's going on in the sky.
Right.
Because there's a moon and there's a planet, so it's kind of like, well, where is this? You know?
Yeah.
Is this on a moon of another planet?
Gotta be.
Yeah. And why are trains in the water? And why is it the type of train that's supposed to use electricity?
Why
but
do
there's
people
nothing
ride
attached
buses?
to it. But there's nothing attached to the top to drive the power.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it's broken down.
It kind of looks like it. Yeah, it may have just been broken down. But you do see that like little bit that we're supposed to attach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
maybe in the future they
wireless power.
Use old. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Oh, they retrofit it with batteries.
Right. Those are old decommissioned trains that they repurposed for, boats. Or whatever.
It's good though. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty. Definitely pretty.
Had some really good ones this week. So, all right.
Retribute was really nice.
Oh,
We won't
yeah,
get into it, but I love that one. Yeah.
I read it wrong at first. So I was like, retribute? What? 2 emails I wanted to go to real quick, and then we're going to hop into Brograph Recommends. This one is from Anonymous, who says, I've had a client who contacted me about a job recently, had a lengthy email chat with them, and a Skype call with them. Last email, I said, please let me know if I'm in the running or not for the freelance work. I'm not fussed about the work, but a bit annoyed I didn't get a courtesy email letting me know I wasn't successful. So my question is, how do other people deal with clients who don't get back to you or follow up? Or do you just let it go? I think it would be a good topic to discuss. Thanks, bros.
I just let it go. Honestly, like, you're going to be throwing out so many quotes and stuff like that. As cool as it would be to get some of these projects that we quote on, you know, those are some of the ones that we push a little bit to try and find out, you know, whether it actually happened. But if you're just crushing it, you know, and sending out lots of quotes and stuff, you're going to land enough work in order for you to, you know, not worry about it too much. Of course, I can understand when you're slow. When you're slow, that's kind of, you know, you kind of want to know. I don't know.
I think one of the differences is, like, if we get a cold call, let's say, right, and it's just someone out of the blue, they found us on Google, or maybe it's somebody who knows a client. It's usually someone who knows a client or knows somebody that's worked with us before. They'll call us up, and you can kind of feel them out. Usually you can tell right away if this is going to be something that seems like it's going to go somewhere. First of all, you try not to get your hopes up. But second of all, if they don't ever respond at all, I've gotten used to that. And maybe I'll do like one follow-up or something. I think the difference is, like in this case, I think when it's an existing client, that changes a little bit, because it's a client maybe you've done work for 3 or 4 times, let's say, and then they call you up for a quote, and then you ask them, and then they just don't respond. And then they don't respond, they don't respond, they don't respond at all. It's kind of like, well, you're an existing client. You know, why wouldn't you respond? Because we already have an established business relationship. And so that's a little bit different. I think it's probably in that situation, depending on how many times they come to you. Like we have some clients that ask for quotes 20 times a year, and maybe 2 or 3 of them make it through. That's understandable. When you know what your ratio is already, you know, it's like they come to you and you're like, yeah, they want another quote on this. So you really, like, you'll kind of feel that out, and you won't spend as much time on the quote because you know it's probably not going to go through. When it's something that's cold called, it's a little different because you have no idea. You know, this could be a new client that you work with over and over and over again. So I think that affects the way I respond a little bit. When I was younger, I think I followed up a lot more, and I think it made me sound a little bit desperate.
Yeah, I see that.
You know, they wouldn't answer, you would check again. They wouldn't answer, you check again. Now, I do keep things on the list, and if I know whether or not they've fallen through, I will check in, but maybe only in a month or in 2 months. You know, hey, I know you said that thing was coming up in June. Is that happening? And you don't hear back. And then like a month later, you ask again. If you don't hear back at that point, you know, keep them on an email list or something for later when you're trying to get more work. And, or maybe you're sending out a newsletter or something. But that way you'll stay on their mind. But I don't know. I feel like at that point, it's probably fizzled out, and they're either going to go with you or not, move on to something else. You know, and just, you got to let that go. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You can't get too attached to just like waiting around for a client to email. Just keep, because like you should hopefully like have like 5 or 6 people that you're just constantly following up on, you know? But honestly, like I've had like clients that just don't get back, and then maybe like 4 months down the line they have another project out of nowhere, right? And they'll come to me for that. And I sometimes I worry, like if I had have annoyed them earlier on, they may not have come back like 4 months later, you know? But yeah, just I guess like being really chill helps for sure.
And I've had people that have done that too, where they don't respond and they get flaky, but then all of a sudden the project kind of goes through, and they're like, oh, okay, well, this did happen. And it's like a month later, and they're like, okay, can we get started? And it's like, bro, we weren't just sitting here waiting for you. There's a month worth of projects in the pipeline right now. And so, you know, you're going to have to wait your turn, or you're going to have to just start here, and I'll try and squeeze it in between a couple things, but I can't start tomorrow, dude. It's just it's not going to happen. And I think the more that
I know I respond to you like instantly every time you email, but no, we can't start tomorrow.
Right. We are keeping track of this stuff, but there's other stuff going on. And I think that you know, as weird as it sounds, I feel like when you make it known that you're not, even if you are, that you're not desperate for work, I feel like people respect you a little bit more because they feel like your time is actually worth something. You know, it's a weird thing. So,
Yeah.
The other email we got, this is from JC, who says, this is interesting. Exporting for LED stadium banners. And I sent him something back here because this just sounds a little bit off to me. Said, hi guys, I'm pretty sure I've heard you talking about doing some work on stadium screens / banners on the podcast, and I was wondering if you could help me out with a wee problem. I've been asked to create some stadium animations that require large banner dimensions. Okay, now, here's the deal. 18,288 by 30,824. Is anybody... 30K? Is anybody really creating 30K LED?
I've had to do this. So the email says 18,288 by 56 pixels. So it's the LEDs that go all the way around. And I had to do this for UEFA and then there's a 72 one, which is like the one that's lower by the ground.
Right.
And it's crazy. It's only 72 pixels, but it's like 3 feet, you know?
Right.
And the way to do this one, so there's like 2 ways that I had to. One is like, essentially they had a software that can repeat the LED all the way across. So I sent them at like 9,000, you know, by 56, and then they repeated it throughout. And then you could also maybe just split it into half again, like 9,000 and 9,000, if you don't have one that's repeating, and ask them if their thing can take 2 inputs for like different ones.
Because that's what we've done on ad banners, on ad panel banners that are in the round before, is we've done that repeating thing, you know. But I was like, something that's 30,000, I was like, 30K? I'm like, man, like who is even, and that makes more sense now, because I was thinking like it was just like one panel that had a resolution that was 30K, and I'm like, who is going to notice 30K when they're 100 feet away? You know? Like a billboard, you know, billboards.
Like one that goes all the way around.
Yeah, and that makes more sense. But here's the question, though. First of all, it's supposed to be in AVI format, which, you know, can't really do in AE on a Mac. That's problem number one. But there's a solution for that. But AE can only work to canvas sizes of 30,000 by 30,000. So I think that's the dilemma. But again, your solution of something that's repetitive, I think, is a good way to go. Certainly that software has a way to do repeating loops, because I've messed with some of that software briefly, you know, up in some control room. It's not the best software. It's really usually kind of crappy some Windows XP machine running something from 15 years ago, but usually there is the option to loop. So maybe you could talk to those people and figure out, you know, what you can provide. And then when it comes to converting it to AVI, you can just find some sort of converter program.
Have one of your friends who has a PC convert it for you.
Yeah.
He said, I've tried doing MOV to AVI using software like Wondershare, but it becomes glitchy when converted. I think that's because of the size.
Yeah.
Honestly. And he says, P.S. Adobe is a pain in my ass.
Yep. Straight up.
I saw your tweet, Matt, this week, by the way.
And I just want stuff to work.
Right.
I don't know. Adobe just needs to work.
Yeah.
Why is it like, it seems like every update that they've had just makes it worse and worse and worse.
Your tweet was about audio even. It's like it won't even play audio without skipping.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
Like why is it that I can throw something in Premiere and it plays just fine, but then I throw it to After Effects and just hit play and it does not play at all? It doesn't make sense.
It renders and thinks about it differently, you know? I don't know. I mean, Premiere is good. Anyway. You can take a 4K video that won't even play well on your desktop and throw it into Premiere, and it will actually play the 4K with no problem. So it's like, there's definitely some sort of different engine going on between the two.
And why can't they just move it over to the other one? Come on.
Well, probably has to do with
get with the
how
program.
it handles compositing. I'm sure there's a reason, but it's
but
just
the thing is, like, I can throw 10 layers on top of each other in Premiere, no problem. You know, if I try and do the exact same text stuff or whatever with movement in After Effects, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh, whatever.
End rant.
End rant.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Brograph recommends. So we're going to go through these here. Hopefully, I don't know if you had a chance to look at these ahead of time, but just fair warning, the last question, so that you have time to think about it, is what your favorite life hack is.
Sure.
So, all right, so we'll start with number 1. What is your favorite movie?
Okay, this is I have a lot of them. They just go back and forth. But the one I just saw like a week ago that I've been kind of into, it sounds lame, but it's called The Dressmaker. It's on Amazon, and it's a revenge story. It is not women just knitting dresses or anything.
It sounds familiar. Like, I think I might have seen it up on the, new...
Yeah, Kate Winslet's in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really good revenge story.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's beautifully shot. So, like, there are some TV shows and films that I'll just be screenshotting throughout for reference for later, Yeah. And that was one where my finger was just on Command Shift 4 the whole time,
That's cool.
So, yeah, it's just very beautifully shot. But one that I'm kind of looking forward to is Glass, and then all these new like Disney live action films. I'm kind of interested to see those come out.
Yeah.
The live action Lion King. That's animated.
And Aladdin and Dumbo, I think, is the first one that comes out, actually. Yeah.
What do you think about Will Smith in that part?
That's weird. That's so weird.
Yeah.
It was just weird. But I think like that's because we've seen him as like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and stuff. Yeah. And I guess you kind of got to remember this film's also for children,
Right.
Yeah.
who have not really seen him as the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's definitely weird.
He has this kind of cornball feel to him now,
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that's why I'm just like,
I don't know. I'll walk out of the theater if at some point he says parents just don't understand.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
What about music? What do you like music-wise?
I listen to literally everything. But recently I've been on soundtracks a lot. Just like listening to like Spider-Man's soundtrack, Sunflower, like Post Malone, that was pretty good. And then also just like instrumentals of soundtracks and stuff.
You're not the first person to say that.
Really?
Actually. Yeah. We actually hear that a lot.
Yeah, Ryan said it last week.
Yeah.
I got into it because I was thinking about making a new reel. And I was like, I need some good music for this. So I was just like listening to it. And I was like, damn, this is really cool stuff. And then like all of a sudden something epic comes on. So like while I'm working, I just look really, really serious, So it's like, you fall into a mood, with how you're working. And it's like spy music. And you're just like, like trying to pretend like you're like hacking something.
Hacking the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I've been into lately.
And what about TV shows as well?
Oh yeah. I love the cinematic kind of stuff in The Crown. Game of Thrones, definitely looking for that to come back. I watched so much TV because I usually just leave it on in the background while I'm working.
Yeah.
Or like while I'm cooking or anything. Like it's just there in the background. So I go through so much of it. But a really good comedy show that I found is called Life in Pieces. It's really funny.
Heard of that.
And it's like adult humor in a way too, which is kind of nice. Family show, but it's really funny. And then last night I started watching this TV show called Greenleaf on Netflix. And that is it's juicy. I like it. It's like family drama based around like a black mega church. And all this drama is really But yeah, those are the ones I'm watching right now.
Nice.
Is it like loosely based on like TD Jakes or something? Is it the family that's like the pastor in the church, or is it a family that goes to the church?
No, it's the pastor.
The pastor.
In the church. Yeah.
I wonder if it's based on TD Jakes at all, like here in Dallas, a huge mega church here.
Oh, real?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Hindu. I don't know that stuff. I know it's like a few like here and there, like, but yeah, that stuff sounds actually really interesting. But there's a lot of drama. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And podcasts, what do you listen to? Do you listen to podcasts? I guess should be the question.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I like a lot of the business and investing ones. I've gotten really like big into all of that. And there's this one by Harvard Business Review called IdeaCast.
Okay.
I've heard the name.
It's definitely really interesting. Yeah. I listened to The Collective, GSG, like quite a few of the motion design ones, but also a few like graphic design ones too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on the name. So Deeply podcast, something like that. It had the word deep in it, or deeply.
Deeply. Maybe someone in the chat.
Maybe somebody will know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's the Deeply Graphic podcast or something.
Deeply Graphic. All right.
And then there's this one that I really love called Extra Credit. And it's essentially a dad explaining to his teenage son all the things he doesn't learn in school or learns wrong in school, you know?
Like
about
that.
Yeah, about like
What's that one called again?
Extra Credit.
Extra Credit.
Extra Credit. Okay.
It's really funny and short, like, 15 minutes kind of lessons and stuff. And they'll talk about things like medical marijuana.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just
How
gets
old
really,
is the
or
Earth?
like, yeah, or like Native American history and things like that. And it's very like quick, but it's really, really good.
And what did Columbus really do?
Yeah, I think actually that is one of them.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the description on this says, when he realizes his teenage son Elijah's Texas public school underplays the history of slavery and the theory of evolution, writer Neil Pollock decides to take Elijah's education into his own hands, supplementing it with his own dubious life lessons.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. I like it a lot.
And the kid's probably like, Dad.
Dad.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
one
like
of the
14.
reviews says 2 stars. He's such a jerk to his son. Aw. Funny.
It is pretty good though. Yeah.
Son,
I'll have to listen to that one.
when I was your age, I was older than you. I don't know. Plugin.
Ooh.
Favorite plugin. It can be your render engine if you want.
Yeah, it usually is. But I do want to get into Redshift. That has been my favorite, even though I haven't used it yet. And then X Particles is always just getting better and better every day.
True that.
So that's definitely been a pretty good one. Yeah, definitely those two.
And I know the answer to this next question, but headphones.
No, you do not know the answer to this one.
I don't.
Because here's I saw this pop up. I just pulled over. So essentially, I lose my headphones so often. I keep having to buy more and more of them. I have literally just at my desk 3 sets of headphones that are over $200.
Oh, gosh.
So,
Jeez.
and it's like, okay, so I'll tell you, I started with the B&O ones. I love these. And I left them in a different backpack, and then I put the backpack away, like, at the top of my closet. So I just thought I had been missing it. I waited, like, 2 months. I was like, I'll find it any day now. And then I was about to take this trip to India, so I grabbed these Bose headphones. I was like, screw it, I'm not finding these ones.
Well,
so
the ones you're wearing are our absolute favorite.
Yeah. So I got these, and then I forgot to pack them for my flight.
Oh, no.
And it was a 30-hour trip. So at the airport, I had to pick up Sennheisers, which were actually really nice, too.
Yeah.
The quality of these are great. So then I had to get these Sennheisers. And then I came back. The Bose were just sitting on my bed.
Oh, man.
And then I I was like, oh, my backpack's filled with all this stuff from India. I need to go to work in the morning. So I pulled out the old backpack. There were the B&O ones.
Oh,
So
Well, I
That's
think you're gonna
painful.
like those. I really do. Well, and if you happen to go on another trip, I think I mentioned this on the show, but my bows lasted me all the way to London and all the way back without a charge, which is pretty impressive.
oh geez, that's what these Sennheiser ones lasted forever. I don't think I charged it once when I was in India. It was crazy.
Super impressive.
Yeah.
Are those noise canceling, the Sennheiser ones?
The Sennheiser ones? Yeah, they were,
They are.
and so are the B&O ones are not. But the
Yeah.
sound quality on B&O is just amazing. Like,
Mhm.
Check those out.
yeah, I like the Bose ones are the most comfortable. And the B&Os have like the best sound quality, but they're just not noise canceling. So I
Yeah.
don't think it matters. There's not even that much noise in my apartment. So
Yeah, see, for things like the show, I don't wear them because I sometimes need to hear outside of the show, so I
Oh,
wear
gotcha.
the really,
Yeah.
really crappy, like, Sony ones. But I wouldn't mind having a wired pair that was, like, just really good quality and not necessarily noise canceling or Bluetooth or any of that. So I'm going to check those out.
they're all wireless, but could also be wired.
Oh, I
like
thought
the
those
Bose
were...
ones, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they'll do Bluetooth.
No, those
and-
are all Bluetooth.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
they're all Bluetooth. Yeah, that was necessary considering that I also forgot the little adapter for my iPhone thing. I was just like, screw it, I'll just get them all
Oh.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like lose money to the dumbest things sometimes. It's just always forgetfulness and stuff like that. But yeah.
That's why I don't wear sunglasses, or that's why I don't buy prescription sunglasses, because I'm so bad at losing sunglasses. I've never bought expensive ones. I've never bought prescription ones. Just know that
Yeah,
I'm gonna lose them.
I had 2 pair of prescription sunglasses. I lost one of them,
Mm,
but they were like $20. I bought the
Oh.
cheapest kinds
Oh.
you could.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to do that. I'm thinking about getting LASIK done. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I've thought about that, but I'm
that's
so on the
in-house
fence.
benefits of health insurance and vision insurance, right?
Yeah.
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 Now, have you heard anything about if that changes the way that your eyes respond to screen time? Because that's my big concern.
I know people who work on screens all the time and haven't had any issues. One person said that sometimes their eyes get a little dry, every here and there. So they use like eye drops.
Hmm.
And then the other thing is you have to wait till your eyes stop like going higher in number. Like, make sure that it's like for the last 2 years it's been the same number before
Yeah,
you get it.
yeah, yeah.
Otherwise it's still in like that changing stage.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only like thing I've heard is about your eyes being dry sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably because us with glasses are so used to like having like an air block,
Right.
that people aren't used to like wind blowing in their eyes and stuff like that.
I have heard that some of
Yeah.
those places though actually will do free updates to your LASIK for life. Like if you start drifting, they'll actually update them.
Oh, that's a good thing to know
Yeah.
when I
that's
go
cool.
shopping for a place. But
Yeah.
the one problem I have is like whenever I wear contacts, I forget that like my glasses aren't there. So I like keep trying to push them up and
Yeah.
it just looks so stupid.
I
Like-
had that happen.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
had
just
that
like
happen.
poking myself in the face,
You get used to it, to the slight distortion as well, because I've noticed sometimes if I put on my contacts after a long time, things look normal. But
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
used to seeing the slight like curves on things like at the top, you don't realize how much your perspective is off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's why some people think the world is flat.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause they have glasses.
Yeah, it's an illusion, Michael.
That's funny.
All
Quite a
right,
theory.
2 more. We got favorite website or Chrome extension, or I'm adding to that mix now, or app.
Oh, okay. Well, those are all different answers, but like for website and Chrome extension, have you guys heard of Rabbit?
No.
Mm-mm. I don't
It's
think so.
okay. So I travel all the time. I move around a lot. but my friends always stay in the same place. So it's a really easy way to like share a Netflix screen or like Amazon Prime or Hulu or something and watch something together. Yeah, and you could like, there's a FaceTime one and a microphone. You could adjust the audio for that and your friend and stuff too, you know? And you could like watch a movie together. I hated doing the like, okay, ready, set, play thing, you know? And this just like solved everything. So every once in a while, we'll like watch movies together, like a rabbit session.
That's fun.
Yeah,
and
now
coming up with any legalities or anything on that? And,
does everyone have to have their own account?
You need your own account. Yeah, you have to sign into your own account, and you could.
That makes sense.
It lets you share a tab on your Chrome.
Okay.
So like that's how you do it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you could like, I use it with like even. Sometimes I'll like contract out one of my friends for something, and if we're going through like a PDF deck or Pinterest, like things that we've pinned, we'll just do it in Rabbit so we could just see where, like, you know, pull it up and be like, okay, this part I can like circle with my mouse what is looking right and what's not looking right.
All right.
And you know, like everybody's on the same place, you know.
That's
cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, and Pinterest, of course, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about the hard one, life hack? This
is easy because I'm like 4'10", so everything I do is a life hack, you know. And I have like no strength whatsoever. When I was in New York and stuff, my brother lived with me because he was going to school in New York. So obviously having a guy around the house, it was so much more easier because he would open all the jars. I just wait till he like came home, you know. Or to like,
I've been starving for 3 hours. Where are you? I need you to open this jar for me.
Pretty much. I remember texting him and being like, do you want me to pick you up from the station? Because I need this jar open to make dinner. Or like just seeing how long this class would be so I can get some ragu sauce, you know?
And bring the jar in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now I have my own place here in SF, and I just put the jar under like hot water and it heats it up and then it just like comes off so easily.
Nice.
Yeah,
smash the jar and then you
and then
smash
you just
the jar,
you got it.
Glass.
Yeah. You might eat some glass here and there, but it's all right.
That's funny.
They're prizes.
Yeah. They're prizes.
My favorite Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
Ooh,
oh god, I used to like when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I thought The Simpsons was like cartoon. You know, my parents didn't know any better either. I thought it was like a regular kid show kind of thing. But my cousins wouldn't let me watch it with them, so I'd like hide behind the couch and like, you know, just like from the corner would try to watch like TV with them because they wouldn't let me. And gosh, the things you learn on The Simpsons, it is not for a 5-year-old.
No. I'm at the point I want to watch The Simpsons with my kid, but what is the right age before? Yeah, before, because it's like all of these things. I was probably at that age when I was watching it.
Yeah.
You know?
And really?
Yeah, because when it came out, like the first season when it came out, I was probably, I don't know, let's see, 7 or 8. You know?
Yeah.
And my parents were always okay with me watching it, even though, you know, Bart swore sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I watch it with my 9-year-old, but we watch the first, like, anywhere in the first 10 seasons, which are the best. And I don't know. There's only been, like, maybe 2 things that I was like, that's a little bit much. But for the most part, I watch it, and I'm like, well, it's not like Family Guy.
Mine's a decent age.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you're 5, you also don't have the maturity of any, like, you don't have the maturity of a teaspoon, you know? So, like, you know, I heard Homer say dough, and then I was just like, dough. Like, you know, just like walking around the house, and they're like, yeah, she's been watching it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up. We went 2.5 hours today. Isn't that bad?
Oh, geez. Not bad.
Pretty good. Time flies.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. I know, Matt, you got to go pick up your kid.
Got to go pick up the kid. Yep.
And speaking of eyes, I'm going to the eye doctor in 30 minutes. So.
All right.
I got lunch, so.
Oh yeah.
It's 12:30 here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I should probably do that too.
Yeah.
Next week, I believe Noseman is on the show next week. Should be fun. It's been a while since we've talked to Noseman. Noseman knows. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. You can also subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. Helps get our ratings up if you're just listening to the audio or something. Subscribe to our newsletter. You can also say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the No Brograph, No Mograph tee, the Gate and Simone limited edition shirt, the Paul Babb, Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. And then, of course, the Render Things shirt and hoodie. And now long sleeve tee, which should be showing up at my door tomorrow. Can't wait because it is a wind chill of 5 today. And so that's nice. And of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Brograph.com. And so if people are looking for you, I know there's a website on the stream, but for people who are listening, where can people find you online?
Straight up just bhaktipatel.com. And funny enough, I'm not much of a social media person, but that's where you can find me. Yeah.
Are you on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, any of that stuff with your work?
I'm on Facebook, but I only got a Facebook because I was about to work there. But not on Instagram or Twitter. I like to limit my social media.
That's good.
Smart.
That's good.
Smart, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you tune in. Next week, we got some cool stuff coming up, moving close to NAB, because we're going to be talking about NAB and what to expect and who's going to be there, and if you're going, what to do and what not to do in order to stay healthy and all that stuff, and not hungover, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few weeks here before we lead up to that. And of course, if you're in Austin, make sure that you come out and hang out at Brian Beam's event. And you can get all the links and everything that we talked about today in the show notes for this episode. So
cool.
We're going to get out of here. Till next week, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Bhakti.
Have a good one.
I'm not here next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
All right.
Great episode.
All right, we're still live.
Can I hit stop on?
Yes.
Okay.
And let me take the stuff offline here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Online.
See ya.